it's not love. It is basically someone trying to lure someone away from their family and religion. As if the man falling in love with a woman is his commitment to his religion, and that religion is doing some kind of war against another religion. Within this 3%, how many people are marrying outside of their religion? Because most of the even love marriage, as we call them, are within communities, within caste. Very few are actually Hindu-Muslim marriages. Anti-conversion law itself could be a problem, because we are in a country, we call ourselves a democracy. If I don't like my religion, I can change it, and that should be my prerogative. Or if I don't want any religion, I can become an atheist.
Constitutionally, every citizen has the right to follow or pursue their own choice. Hello and welcome to TheFederal. You're watching Conversations with Nilanjan. Over the last 4 decades, almost on the back of the Ram Janmabhoomi agitation for a Ram temple in Ayodhya, majoritarian politics has received a big push and is now the dominating force in the country. Now, within the issues which has been picked up by various majoritarian forces, that includes the Sangh Parivar, love jihad has been a very important component. Now, the concept of love jihad is an alleged strategy where it is said that Muslim men lure Hindu women into marriage for the purpose of religious conversion. This concept, it occupies a very significant, though multifaceted, place within the political and the ideological framework of the Sangh Parivar BJP and even the current central government. Rather than being a standalone policy, it functions as the core narrative tool for cultural mobilization and even legislative action. So we will be talking about all these issues, and I will be speaking to Professor Sameena Dalwai, who has just written a book which provides a feminist perspective on love jihad. The book is more of a sociological take than through a wading through law, despite the fact that Professor Dalwai is a professor of law. It's a searing criticism of our societal norms. So welcome to the program, Sameena Dalwai. It's really wonderful to interact with you after having read your book, which was actually seamless reading. It never could halt at any particular point. A remarkable book. Welcome to this program.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you that, am I correct in my reading of your book that you define love jihad not as a what I call legitimate category of relationship or a documented social phenomenon, but primarily as a tool for social surveillance?
Yes, that is correct. In the sense, it is, let me begin by saying that actually when 15 years back, first love jihad word was heard from Kerala, that there are cases coming up of love jihad, it sounded quite ridiculous. We laughed sitting in Bombay that abhi kuch naya nikla hai, new drama. And we didn't think something like this will actually take hold. It was also a time of, critical thinking, though 1992 had happened and in Bombay, and Gujarat 2002 had already happened. We still thought it's not something that will, in this modern democratic space of India, take hold. And in the next 10 years, you saw that it did take hold. And the most important thing that it has done is pull women, Hindu upper caste women, into the forefront of the Hindutva politics. So when you speak of Ram Janmabhoomi, when you speak of many other things, riots, rewriting of history, women are not the focus. The first time women become the focus of the Hindutva politics is when love jihad actually becomes a serious allegation.
Uh, by allegation, what do you really mean? That what exactly, you have studied love jihad. Uh, can you actually break down the concept? What is it they are trying to say?
Allegation in the sense, when people decide to marry somebody, they choose an individual. They don't necessarily choose a religion.
Mhm.
So if I want to marry a man, he's just a man that I like to talk to, walk out with, um, travel with. We have a lot of things common. We like books, we like travel, we like food. All of those things are at the are the forefront of our decision to live together. Our religions are in the background. Whether he's Hindu, Muslim, Christian, comes later. Whether he likes pani puri or save patata puri actually is an important. Whether he likes to travel by bus, train, these are the personal issues, personal things, personal preferences. Those are the things that actually draw us to each other as human beings, as friends, as partners, as collaborators. Religion is there somewhere in the background. Maybe our food habits are decided by religion. Maybe our clothes are decided by where we come from. It may be there, but personal actually trumps the religious, political, etc. to a large extent. But when you call any union which is not within the same religion, within the same caste, within the same even region, then you are looking at it, beginning to look at it with suspicion. And that makes it an allegation. That's what I say when I say allegation. So you are already thinking that any interfaith marriage or
Marriage or
prospective
relationship?
relationship is circumspect, and that it's not love. It is basically someone trying to lure someone away from their family and religion, as if the man falling in love with a woman is his commitment to his religion, and that religion is doing some kind of war against another religion, and hence he is ready to sacrifice himself. The propaganda says that he's trying to sacrifice the woman, but I believe a man who's actually marrying a woman, is he ready to sacrifice himself? My parents celebrated 52 years of their marriage this June.
Yes.
My father
It
has
was an
taken my
interfaith
mother
marriage.
to and an
It was
interfaith
an
marriage.
interfaith marriage, and
Yes, if he lived with a woman for 52 years, and no woman is easy to live with, neither is my mother. So, are we to say that for his religion he sacrificed his whole life? He lived with someone for 52 years because she was Hindu, Brahmin, whatever. And to take her away from her religion, he would have actually lived his whole life with her. That sounds ridiculous, right? If you were to look at it from his point of view, uh, unless they had something in common, which in their case was this fiery desire to change society. At that time, they were part of Yuva Kranti Dal, um, and like many other in the 70s, were part of these student revolutionary politics, socialist politics. And they thought they are going to bring a new um, casteless, genderless society to India. And that dream sustained them and their marriage for those decades. Otherwise, it's hard to live with someone for 50 years, right? You would get bored, you would get annoyed, you would get angry. Marriage is no easy game. All of us who are in those marriages, the institution itself can be quite claustrophobic. But we live within because we find something every day to enchant us with that person. So to live in a marriage for that long, um, we must have something to call all of these years of togetherness, of alliance, actually, um, a jihad. Maybe it is jihad because why otherwise would you get married and live with someone for that long? But it is not the jihad that these people are calling, that these men are trying to do something for a religious war. That seems quite far fetched.
In fact, the last fag end of your book, you do write, you're talking about jihad. You do write, and if I can quote from the book, you said that, right? All love is a jihad within oneself and between two people. If jihad is the effort to work through and work out one's truth and calling, one's dharma, so to speak. In a way, a life well lived is a sincere love jihad. You know, so what you are doing is that you are actually turning around the word jihad, and you are saying that even love can have a jihad, because falling in love is not a very easy thing. So you are, would it be right to say, that you are actually breaking down the political concept of love jihad into some kind of a personal struggle to make a relationship work?
I am doing that, but also I must note that with me or within my family, political and personal are no different things. There is no distinction, or clearly we never recognize that this distinction. So feminism teaches us that personal is political. In what way is personal political? When they realized that women were being beaten up at home, they thought that this is an individual matter. I must have done something to anger my husband. Today he shouts at me for something, tomorrow he beats me for something else. And I must behave myself so that this will not happen. When they started talking to each other, they realized actually other women are also getting beaten up. And it is not individual, it is not their fault. It is that men behave in a certain way to control women, their mobility, their freedoms, their thought, their domestic labor, etc. So then they realize that personal is political. For us, all the stuff that is happening around, which is political, is very much a personal thing. It may have started because my parents had an interfaith marriage, but they were also part of this organization, as I said. And all friends from childhood that we had were brought up in this almost like a bubble, a political bubble. And we
Okay.
thought this is India. Then slowly after a certain age, maybe in our late teenage and 20s, when we realized that that was not really India. And India by then had also started deteriorating very fast in terms of moral, political ethos. And then
Valid.
this politics is very much more and more it became personal. So when riots happen, they are not political alone; they are very personal. When something happens in Palestine, that's also not just political. When you watch children starving and their bodies strewn, it's not a political matter; it's a personal matter. So this distinction is also in a way false. All of us live our politics through our personal lives, and those who don't are actually then only doing faith politics, right? Saying something and not living our politics. What kind of life is that?
So, how would you say that, those who are campaigning that love jihad, that there is a deliberate plot or a ploy by Muslim men to lure Hindu women and beget Muslim children
Hmm.
to, and that they are part of an Islamist conspiracy to eventually enhance their the share in India's population and thereby outnumber Hindus at some point of time. That is the entire framework which is actually presented. So when they are doing it, they are doing politics. They are also, according to you, are they also, living their personal belief and what you are saying about yourself or others in your family
Yes,
or
yes,
similarly
which I am.
like-minded?
They are this book Nilanjan ji is not for those who are already in the Hindutva web. The book
Right.
is for the thinking individual who may be confused about this and who needs some kind of guidelines to look at this matter. So it's on for the people who are in between, which is largely India's population.
Hmm.
Those who are the other side, who are trying very hard to to stop love jihad, I don't have much to say to them. I just feel, bhai, tu bhi mehnat karna fir. Just try
Hmm.
to lure women na. Why do you have this concept only of arranged marriage, where a perfectly biddable girl is brought to your home and your bed by your mummy daddy, and with dowry, with सब कुछ, with scooter and गाड़ी? तुम लोगों को शर्म नहीं आती? Apart from being a man and just being born a boy, what is it that you have done in life that you get a woman into your home with all of this entitlement? तो तू भी कुछ मेहनत कर ना. अरेंज मत कर, तू शादी प्यार करके कर. Put effort. Do all that luring business that is necessary. Suffer. प्यार में कुछ मेहनत कर ना. And then see what happens. Living with a woman that you have chosen, you have lured, you have, is not easy. Getting a woman just as a gift, they are ready to give, your parents are ready to take, you are going to use her as your domestic labor. ऐसा तो बड़ा आसान है. That is all patriarchy is doing. What is your doing? You do it. कर मेहनत. इससे ज्यादा what to say? um, but पॉपुलेशन भी इतना रिडिकुलस आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि क्या ही बताए. कब होगा ये? होता ही होगा तो. हाउ लॉन्ग विल दिस
That,
टेक? 200
that,
years? 300 years?
that
If
there will
at
be
all this was happening.
that there will be an inversion of the population
When?
percentage that
500
are
years? How much time will it
maybe
take na, if it was happening also? Because
maybe even more.
currently 3%, uh, 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 3%, no more than 5% of India, not even that much, India marries out of their own choice. So within this 3%, how many people are marrying outside of their religion? Because most of the even love marriage, as we call them, are within communities, within caste. Very few are actually Hindu Muslim
Very few.
marriages. So looking
And
at the percentile, when will this happen? 1,000 years it will take. You are worried about that. Just worry about how many trees we are cutting at this point. And that in 2, 3 generations, we will not be able to live. Because already in 20 years in my lifetime, Bangalore went from 22 to 36. Bombay went from 27 to 38. We won't be able to live in the kind of
talking
country
in
we are
terms of
creating.
Yeah, the temperature.
So, temperature, just simple environmental degradation will kill the population in just 2 3 generations. Where is the chance for love jihad to take effect, and then the Muslims to actually become more than Hindus? We should worry about the problems right now, which is
Right.
actually that there are no trees in the for our children to actually have any shadow from, and that will ruin this country. Forget the hate politics. I mean, many a times I have to say this to my left friends also. Hate politics is very serious, but environment is more serious or equally. And where is the politics going to take place in this, if there is only going to be like this oven? You and me both live in the North Indian hemisphere, though we
No,
are not from North India. And we
I know,
see
but
that
we
without
are
AC it's
listening.
impossible.
As you and I talk, we have also been reading reports of the horror of 43-degree across Western France. So it is not just an Indian problem; it's a global problem. Anyway, getting back to your book. Now, in terms of the structure of the book, I have a question. Your book has essentially three chapters: one on Hindu women, one on the entire Muslim milieu, and the third in the context of love jihad, which I found very innovative. You bring in a Dalit angle. I would like to explain, and of course, there is a conclusion, there is an introduction, but the three chapters, these are the core chapters. Okay, I would like to listen to why you chose such a chapter, such a structure of the book.
So the book started several years back when I had first written in Indian Express an article that called "I Am the Unborn Baby." This was in response to the trolling of Tanishq ad, where a young expectant mother with a Hindu, she was wearing
Right.
a bindi, and she was being treated to a Godbharai ceremony by her mother-in-law, who she calls Amma Amma,
Yeah.
who looked Muslim. And this ad was trolled and said that this is all bakwas, this is just imaginary, none of this happens. इतने प्यार से कहाँ ही एक लड़की को वहां
That doesn't
ये
happen.
करेंगे
I
on a
remember
boat.
that controversy as a, just
So I
within
wrote an
2 years it
article
happened.
at that time, and I thought, what is the point of now giving theories and giving arguments, political arguments to this? Let us tell personal stories. So then I said that I am actually that unborn baby with a Hindu mother, a Muslim father, and all that happens around with the birth of a baby, and lots of stories how people went to the hospital, how they were waiting, how they wanted to name me by the river in Konkan, and thank God they didn't. But things like that, and otherwise I would have been called Vashishthi Dalwai. So Sameena is better. I told my father, thank you for that. So then, things like that, very funny anecdotes that happen, how somebody started, you have all kinds of things, किसी का पेट दुखने लगा था, तभी ये हो गया था, वगैरह वगैरह. So in all of that, I thought, where is this Hindu-Muslim angle coming? The drama about a childbirth is always so much more. So I wrote a piece about my parents that time. And
Hmm.
then many people asked me to write more about this. And so when I started thinking, should I write about my family alone? But I said, why only about my family? This is a story of India, the India that we are currently living. But it's also a story of India that I grew up in. And it has changed from the bubble to the, well, Ram Janmabhoomi India. And then why, what do I tell? So I realized that this love jihad trope, it has done interesting things. It has done two interesting things at the same time. One is they hyper visibilize two categories, groups: Hindu women and Muslim men. That is a hyper visible category. That, as you said, Muslim men are conniving, evil, they are luring these poor, innocent, glorious Hindu women away. These are the
Right.
hyper visible categories. And then what is invisibilized in all this? That is caste system. The elephant in the room. that is the Dalit Bahujan Janta, their labor, their life struggle, their murders, and their everyday marginalization. So small to big, all of that as if that doesn't exist. So love jihad is actually only the, in many ways, not in the same way, but in many ways, it's an old wine in new bottle. There was a virulent opposition, and there is still, and I've given some examples in the book, of upper caste women choosing Dalit boys as partners, and to fatal outcomes by the families killing them.
Right.
So that means that Dalits have always been part of this kind of scenario, where apart from all the other marginalization and oppression, they have no right to love anyone who comes from above their caste group, and they will definitely meet a painful death for that. That was already there, but it is invisible in this whole trope of Hindu Muslim, because you want to make people believe that Dalits are part of the Hindu fold. They are by numbers with the Hindu politics, and that they are supposed to be then used against Muslims. So I wanted to make sure that all these three angles of Indian patriarchy, Indian communalism, and the caste system comes together. And I don't think I am actually, thank you for calling it innovative, but I always saw it as the most open and shut case. It's an open secret that they are trying to do this politics of communalism by overshadowing, superimposing it on the politics of caste.
But historically, interfaith marriages in India have never been easy. Uh, right from the early decades of the 20th century, there were very serious problems. Even before that, I don't think that at any point of time it would have been very easy. We really do not know in the medieval era, to what was the extent of
Yeah,
interfaith marriages,
Jodha
how
Akbar.
much of how much of
Mm.
power played a role into emperors marrying Hindu women, or was it
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
a part of a political strategy to expand, build,
yeah.
kinships across religious identity? We really do not know, when exactly did religion become the primary basis of social identity in India. Though it had definitely evolved by early 20th century. What you were saying about the Dalit women, yes, there were, because many cases you write in your book that of Muslim men marrying Dalit women. To reduce that fact, you say that Hindu upper caste men also started reaching out and marrying Dalit women
That's
to
not my research. It's
political.
historian Charu Gupta from Delhi. She has a
Yes,
book on
yeah,
this. So,
yes, you actually quote Charu Gupta's work, and I've had the fortune of interacting with her and writing about her work also. But so it has been there for some time, and what you were talking about between upper caste Hindu man and a Dalit woman. On the other side, there has also been tremendous resistance, to which I personally was, am aware of a very close associate, where the girl or the lady involved was a Dalit and the man was an upper caste Hindu, and there were very severe uh,
mm,
opposition from the side of the girl's family. So interfaith has always been a problem. Now, towards the end of your book, you actually start saying, that interfaith, you almost kind of suggest that interfaith relationships, interfaith marriages is what would be the ideal India of the future that you would like to see. Before we reach there, let us try to understand that you talked about that in Kerala when it came up, sometime in 2008 and 9, but in the heartland of Hindutva politics, which is North India and Western India, Love Jihad reared its head in 2013. 13 and which triggered the very violent Muzaffarnagar riots. We all know the extent of the riots and the political impact. The BJP actually swept through Uttar Pradesh primarily on the basis of the hostility towards Muslim and consolidation of Hindu vote in favor of the BJP in the Lok Sabha election of 2014. From that point onwards, as a political tool, as a political parcel of a larger majoritarian campaign, a platform, where has Love Jihad come as a political and as a social issue?
I think it's now become. So you are saying the interfaith marriages were never an easy feat. I
Never
agree.
really accepted.
Uh,
Your
and
family is possibly a rare family which has so many interfaith,
no
intercommunity
way,
marriages.
because in I mean, world over we have patriarchy, but
Yes.
our patriarchy, current one, also depends upon the marriage as organized by family and society. That was the case even in Europe earlier, when they actually decided who parents decided who you will marry. So that was the case, and that is even now the case with us. So how will you ever marry anyone outside of your caste group? Or even Muslims, how will they marry outside of their caste groups? It's not just interfaith marriage, it's also intercaste marriage. That is a problem. And within the caste, also, if you decide to marry someone, family might say that we will decide. Even within caste, you can't decide. So it's not only about caste and religion, it is about you deciding for yourself. Who does that? You can't decide for yourself who you will marry, because marriage is between two families, two clans, it's an economic relation. प्यार व्यार ये लास्ट होता है. It's a relation to beget um, children. That is number one. Once chalana hai. So beget children in the sense mostly preferably boys, and so they can bring girls from outside. So that's a patrilineal that you're talking about, patrilineal residence that goes from grandfather, father to son, and women from other gotras and families become part of that. So in this, you can't really decide for yourself, and then it's a economic relation, land, dowry, gold, etc. Political relations, relations of patronage. ये सब में मियाँ बीवी, I mean, all the marriages that are happening now, political families, so much happens on social media. Why is this girl marrying that BJP MLA's son? Are this question only is moot to me. Meaning, they are supposed to marry whoever their families benefit. The girl and the boy are just pawns in this whole system of marriage. And still, people live with each other because they're trained to maintain marriage as if it's their occupation. For women, marriage is a job. Boys are trained for a employment sector from childhood. तू क्या बनेगा, बड़ा होकर क्या बनेगा? लड़की, what is she trained to do? She's trained to speak softly, smile nicely, look pretty, wear respectable clothes, and look demure, still look hot. All kinds of things, na? Learn French and classical music. ये क्या करते? You are basically training the girl to be settled into marriage. That's her job. तो इसमें, that is what the society has been doing from the beginning. इसमें कोई नई बात नहीं है. What has happened now is that in the 70s and 74, when my parents got married, a lot of their friends also had intercaste marriages, which
Right.
I say these are not anuloma marriages, but pratiloma marriages. Anuloma marriage in Manusmruti is basically where the man is above in caste group.
Okay.
So if you have a upper caste man marrying a lower caste woman, it's a bad marriage, but it's acceptable. Like the
Okay. But
Vidura,
not the other way around.
not the other way around, where the woman is above
This
in
is called
caste.
Pratiloma.
That is called pratiloma. So pratiloma marriages was actually what was happening in my parents' friend circle. All my friends are like that. And then we read that in Manusmriti, then these children, progeny of these marriages are called chandals. So we used to call ourselves super chandals. A lot of my friends were chandals and super chandals by this kind of, if you went by, if you decide in
Yeah, this
Manusmriti
is the
to, allow,
cracking.
determine
This
our
I'm
life.
sure that would have
Yeah.
been cracking jokes at yourself and your
Yes. So we were
community of friends.
constantly cracking jokes at ourselves, ki who's Chandal and who's super Chandal in this group, etc. We were also calling in Marathi ourselves Chandal Chaukadi and things like that. So, but that time there was no police. In 74 and in the 70s, when all of these people got married, in that decade, lots of trouble from family. That was possible. Family
Yes.
will, in Maharashtra, there was no honor killing then. It is now possible. But that time,
Okay.
at the most, family would disown you. Now there is police. So there is a difference in
There
neighborhood
is
uncles
police.
and aunties
Besides
troubling you.
besides police, besides police, there is a political party, and there are vigilantes in your own neighborhood.
So in
This is
40 years time, what has changed is this, that what was the job of the neighborhood aunties of basically talking bad about you. But if you had grown thick skin, which you should as a political activist, nothing would actually bother you. But these people now are not just talking outside of your home. They're sending police to your place. You have laws that say that your any kind of union that you may have with someone who's not of your religion will become circumspect from the beginning. So, what we call love jihad laws that are in UP, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat,
you
they
have
are not
listed
just
11 states which have some kind of laws which are restrictive towards interfaith marriages, because the allegation is that these are ultimately going to lead to conversions.
yes. And so they call it anti conversion law. Anti conversion law itself could be a problem because we are in a country, we call ourselves a democracy. If I don't like my religion, I can change it, and that should be my prerogative. Or if I don't want any religion, I
Constitutionally,
can become an atheist.
constitutionally, every citizen has the right to
I
follow
have the
or
right to
pursue their
choose.
own choice.
But we are also talking not about just conversion. This is not just conversion that they are trying to manage by this. They are trying to contain interfaith marriage, in which they believe that the girl will uh, convert. So there,
Right.
the problem is there, that where if I was a Hindu woman, then and if I'm going to marry a Muslim man, then I'm definitely going to convert. And the other way around also, everyone believes is going to happen. So these are the presumption of patriarchy. And presumptions of patriarchy are not untrue because women actually leave their home. They leave their names and surnames. They leave everything. There we don't see much of a problem. And then people find it very problematic that they actually leave their religion. Why? If they are supposed to leave everything else, then why do you feel it's a problem if they leave religion? If I'm not to leave my religion, then I have not changed my name or surname. I give my own name to my daughters because I'm a feminist. I could be Hindu, Muslim, Christian, but a feminist is a different, unique character also.
True. True.
In that, then religion will also, then I will safeguard my religion if that is needed. But you don't want feminist women, they will become a problem. But you want women to leave everything else, but not their religion. How will that happen?
You have mentioned about Manu, and you were talking about the legal framework. I have a question which actually stems from, you refer to the 1989 decision of the Jaipur, Lawyers Association, if I remember very correctly, that they decided that the Rajasthan High Court uh, premises outside, in Jaipur, would be having a statue of Manu. You mentioned that incident in your book. How does that get you know, referred to in your book on love jihad? Where does it come from?
It is connected to Bhanwari Devi in my head.
Right.
That someone, Bhanwari Devi, a Dalit
Bhavani Devi
lady,
was.
she had to go to Rajasthan High Court after being sexually assaulted by upper caste men while doing her job that the Rajasthan government had given her. When she went there, they refused to believe her testimony, and they said
Right.
she is lying. And no chacha bhatija will come together to rape a woman. Why would they rape a lower caste woman? They should not even touch her, and things like that. Pehle to they are not able to understand that caste system on one hand does not touch Dalit people, or they don't like their shadows. But on the other hand, Dalit women's sexual labor is very much extracted and it's considered an
That's
entitlement.
right.
So it is very, I mean, it is not even a misnomer that, these things are put together. That was how um, racism also, I mean, slavery also worked. That you would not marry a black woman, but you would keep her as a slave. She would work in your fields and you would have children from her. So this is not new. And the judges not knowing this is actually quite interesting. But what I thought was, if Manu's statue is put outside a high court, then
Right.
definitely the voice of a Dalit woman cannot be heard in that high court. It's not even something that I should be um, shocked by. When I'm reading a judgment like this, I'm terribly shocked, I'm aggrieved, I want to throw things. But then I read, okay, this high court has Manu ka statue outside it. And then I feel, okay, अब इससे ज़्यादा क्या ही होगा? Because Manu is known. What is Manu known for? I don't. I have never spoken to anyone which I should possibly, um, who was part of the decision to set up Manu's statue in front of a high court. What did they think they wanted to do? What does Manu signify for them? Maybe Manu signifies a lawgiver to them. But what kind of law is this? Manu basically tries to set up, as in establish and maintain, a Varna based law. So, what we call the Brahmanical patriarchy, the caste patriarchy, in which upper caste men will rule and everyone else will fall in line, provide them labor, things, sex, etc. In this, then, Manu Smriti, I mean, all of this may not have been written by Manu even, but what we read in Manu Smriti is that Vedas, to be heard by the Dalit or OBC, will be a trouble. You would have to put some metal, melted metal in their ears. या उन्होंने कुछ बोल दिया तो फिर आप उसकी
Right.
ये काट दो, cut off his tongue. So all of that means that anyone who dares to cross the laws that are given to us by caste system and of caste system which is considered caste and gender system,
Right.
then would be uh, punished heavily, mercilessly.
Right.
That's why that if they had put it in front of the uh, RSS office in Nagpur, I would not have been
Maybe
aggrieved at all.
that kind
भाई
of
ठीक है,
anger.
आपका है, लगा लो, ठीक, माने it's fine. But you're
No,
putting it in front of a high court. High
I
court is
remember as
supposed to be
a.
our law, constitution. That belongs to
I,
us. The women, Dalits, OBCs, working people, thinking individuals, intellectuals, farmers. एंड आपने वो लगा दिया उसके सामने, क्या है ये?
no, I do
Manu, what
remember
are you
that,
supposed to do?
having, written about that incident, reporting on that, going to Jaipur and seeing why it had happened. In fact, a great section of India was outraged at that event. Even people in Jaipur,
I am
there was
glad.
a lot of outrage, and we were able to reflect that in the popular media.
What did they
One
tell you
last.
when you asked them questions as a journalist? What did they tell you?
Well, the people,
What does this signify?
the lawyers community definitely, said that it is there. After all, it is our ancient laws. That where else will this get reflected? But the High Court, so no point of arguing with them that the Indian Constitution is at odds with the laws of the Manu Smriti. So that is there. On the other side, the secular forces said, that this is possibly the beginning of much worse that is to come. Mind you, 1989 is the time when the Ram Janma Bhoomi movement has acquired a certain amount of momentum, not the kind of momentum which led to the demolition. But yes, things were beginning to grow bad. 1980s had been the time when religion became a more important factor in electoral politics. All those developments had happened. So that was at the end of that decade. One last question, why do you say, now this is something, why do you say, and you say this very forcefully, that reclaiming the legitimacy of interfaith marriages, interfaith relationships. I would add, even you are actually arguing that even intercaste marriages, is an essential act of democratic resistance. Why do you say this?
I don't say this from the point of view of politics or from the point of view of religious politics or even communalism, etc. I just say
Right.
that to,
As a
to,
counter to communalism.
to just, no, not really. Just to say that every young person has a right to choose. That's all. So democracy means not just a number game, not just the elections, not who rules in the center or in a state. Democratic ethos means an individual has a right to live her life according to her wishes.
Or his.
Individual is as important as the group. Individualism, as it came in Europe after the French Revolution, spoke of this as an individual becoming an important aspect of social life rather than just falling into line for group dynamics. Individual had no say, and that's what is basically arranged marriage. As I told you earlier, that I believe that
Right.
individual has no say because it's just a pawn. You could change this person to that person. मैरिज इसमें क्या, एक बेटी नहीं करती
Right.
दूसरे से करवा दो. What does that even mean? It means that one person against can be replaced by another person, can be replaced by a third person. You are all faceless, almost like guinea pigs, right?
Right.
But individual in a democracy is important, not just groups. Group rights are important. We are talking about Muslims, we are talking about women, we are talking about Dalits, OBCs, farmers, but these are still categories, social groups. I am talking about individual, me, Sameena. I will have my own wish to live my life. I want to just take a walk at night. I just want to drive from one place to another without harassment from people. I want to eat the food that I like without harassment from other people. And the same way, I want to actually marry someone that I like. It also has this idea that I may not want to marry, even if I'm a woman,
Right.
and you believe that I have the.
It is not necessary for
It is
either
not
man or woman
necessary.
to marry.
I will not carry the burden of making children for this country. Everywhere, women are
Right.
carrying this burden of making babies, then raising them as if it's their national duty. No, individuals will decide what is important for themselves. So, in
Well,
that
it has
sense, I call it feminist politics, that women will decide for
just been
themselves.
declared as a kind of national duty by the chief of the RSS, who says that Hindu women should have more children. So that is how.
Women are just numbers for them. Women are numbers. Prime Minister says, बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, नहीं तो तुम्हारे बेटों को बाद में बीवियां नहीं मिलेंगी. अरे माने बेटी का दूसरा कोई मतलब नहीं है, वो बीवी बनेगी.
That she is studying only to become
No,
a
she's
respectable
saved.
wife.
Usko maro nahi. Do not kill her because she should become somebody else's wife. Is that even a reason
Society,
why a parent will actually give birth to a daughter? If you try to tell me, take the burden for, I will raise my daughter and give it to someone else for domestic labor, is that something that is convincing enough to me? Tell me that your daughter will have a safe life in this place, that she can go to school without trouble, that she can travel in the buses without being hassled, that she can roam around freely without having this burden of rape hanging on her head. If you tell me all of
and
this, that she's safe, then I will say, yes, I will have four daughters and then raise them. No, you will say, betiya paida karo, kisi ki biwi banegi. Then you take the burden, bhai. Why will I take
I
that burden? It's not even an
I
individual.
I
It makes no sense at all. So, in this sense, I'm saying that as a mother, if you are telling me to have a daughter, then what are you offering me? You are only offering me a burden, a responsibility, national responsibility. Offer me something that makes sense to me as an individual, as a woman, as a mother. What will you offer to my daughter?
yes.
Then they
Well,
offer
I hope
शादी
that
करेगी उसका what they are offering all these very funny things. शादी में 1 लाख खर्चा मिलेगा, डाउरी मिलेगा. अरे what is this? Treat her as an
well,
individual, treat her as a citizen, and then see if actually parents do put efforts into daughters. Parents are doing it against all odds. I live in Haryana. Parents are actually raising their daughters against all odds. But where is their reward? In a sense of
yes,
a society.
Haryana has one of the lowest, sex ratios, and it has been the case for several decades. As
Hence, I'm
journalists, we
saying
have
that
been
those
aware
who
that
actually have daughters are
yes,
actually, great parents. They are doing it at their own peril and they love their children. But they have to do this against society, against state who refuses to protect and cherish their daughters. In this, I'm saying the answer to your last question is that feminist politics is a politics that goes against the grain of this whole nationalistic politics, that women will have their own chance to decide their small and big things in life, who they marry, whether they have children, what children do they have, how they raise them, what kind of work they find, how they contribute to economy. All of that must be left to themselves, and they should be actually enabled. I find this actually, this is my last
no, I
this thing
think
to do.
I think that's really well said. That they should be enabled. That is the big thing, and it's really been
And
a
my last thing to that part that enabled is this, that from childhood I heard that women need protection and that they are being given protection. But as you see in the stories of throughout my book, that it is the boys and men who get the protection of their families, of societies around, and the state, and of judges. You
right.
get protection as a boy throughout your life from all institutions, from home to the courts. And women do not get that. And that happens again with all the marginalized versus the non marginalized. You get nothing from the state and society, and you get tremendous protection if you are already in the haves. So that is the case anyway. So men are enabled all the time to do all kinds of horrendous things, and women are not. And then same goes with caste and communalism. So one
Right.
is talking about this as a politics. So feminist politics includes everyone which is marginalized, women
Well,
at
yes,
the center.
I'll conclude, on the point that you have raised some very valid points. Very strongly, you have raised certain issues. There will be a large number of people who will agree with you, and there will be some people who will disagree with you. Your book on Love Jihad has really been a wonderful and a very insightful read. Congratulations on your book. I hope
Thank
that more and more people read the book. I request the viewers of this to pick a copy of Love Jihad, a feminist retelling. And thank you very much once again, Sameena Dalwai, for having
thank you
joined me
so
on this conversation.